Hello and welcome to the Friday, May 16th edition of the Contributor Comms team meeting. A reminder, this meeting and every meeting in the Kubernetes community operates under a code of conduct, which essentially says to be respectful of your fellow speakers and attendees and generally be excellent to each other. At the beginning of the meeting here, we like to offer an opportunity for anyone on the call to introduce themselves if they would like to, totally optional, but I use it as an excuse to explain what the meeting is. So I will go first. Hello, I'm Caslin Fields. I'm one of the co-leads of this sub-project, which is the Contributor Comms sub-project. And the purpose of this group is to make sure that folks within the contributor community in open source Kubernetes know about things that are going on that they should probably know about, and also that folks outside of the contributor community know about the awesome work that contributors are doing. We accomplish that through a variety of means, including running the social media accounts for the open source Kubernetes project, and usually doing some blogging, though there's issues with that I'll probably explain later, and a variety of other things. We'll do updates on whatever's going on today. Would anyone else like to introduce themselves?
I can go this time. Yeah, so I'm Fred. I've been working collaborating here for a couple of years now, mainly on the blogging aspects. I'm also currently the emeritus advisor for the 134 release, and I work at SAS, and that's it.
Yay. Got a question for you about the release. We'll get to that in a bit.
I hope that I can answer because I'm yeah. But
It's
yeah,
a
sure.
pretty easy one. We'll see.
Hopefully.
The pressure is even worse because if it's hard, not knowing it is not an issue. But okay.
Fair enough. Anyone else like to introduce yourself? Totally optional.
Sure. I am Chris Short. I'm the other co-lead of this sub-project. I've been in ContribEx for many years now, and I work at a company called CIQ, a small startup that works on Rocky Linux and funds Rocky Linux.
I've never tried Rocky Linux.
I mean, if you liked CentOS before they changed it.
I don't know that I've ever used CentOS. Maybe like once or twice.
Right. Yeah.
A long time ago, so that'd probably be before whatever change that is. Anyway. Anyone else like to introduce yourself? Totally optional.
Hi everyone, I am Avni. I am a computer science student, excited to learn about and contribute to the community. I am growing and learning every day about how to contribute and exploring more about Kubernetes. And I'm excited to be here again this week.
Welcome. Glad to have you. Always wonderful
Likewise,
to have new folks in the community.
Thank you.
If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask.
Sure. Thank you.
Anyone else like to introduce yourselves? Totally optional. All right. I think we'll move on. Another reminder, this is a very casual call. So if you didn't introduce yourself at the beginning and you want to introduce yourself later, or you have any questions at all as we go through things, please do feel free to ask. We are happy to just chat. It's kind of what we do here. So, and then the last housekeeping item, we like to ask for a volunteer note taker for each meeting. The job of the note taker is to follow along with what's going on in the discussion so that if anyone missed the meeting and wants to catch up via the notes, there are notes for them to catch up with. So would anyone like to volunteer to be our note taker today? If not, we'll be honest, I'm going to do it myself anyway. But always welcome. Really, the notes are a collaborative thing. If you hear something and you're like, I should write that down, then just do. Alrighty, so let's dive into our agenda, I think. And also, I just noticed that I hadn't changed my name because I logged in as SIG ContribEx because I'm also a co-chair of the parent group of this sub-project. So I did that and added my pronouns. So if you're wondering how to refer to me, it is there, she, her. Always forgetting to do that. So first thing on the agenda, hopping into that, is messages of the week. So a sub-project of this sub-project is the Last Week in Kubernetes Development newsletter, which is a weekly newsletter that talks about things that are going on in the Kubernetes community that contributors are doing. So does anyone know about anything going on that we should highlight in LWKD this week?
The etcd blog that has caused us some problems might be a good one.
It's not a problem per
I
se.
mean, kind of not really a problem, but yeah.
Caused us an opportunity to do things wrong.
Yes, indeed.
Which is good to remember that we do sometimes. It's good to practice those error correction skills. To give folks the story on that, etcd had a big release yesterday, which is very exciting. It's their first minor version release in 4 years. They've actually done patch versions, of course, more frequently, but first minor version release in 4 years. And so we were warned about it in advance. We set up some social media messages to go out and they went out, and then we noticed the blog wasn't up. We had been given the link before it was up, and we used that link and then it wasn't there. So we helped by making a mistake. We were like, hey, the thing is out. Wait, the link isn't working. So that caused them to actually get the blog out. And then we were like, wait, the link still isn't working because it wasn't the right link for the actual published blog. So then we had to fix those things up really quickly. It was a fun exercise.
Is about and this is the new way of doing things, or is it? I mean, this is an honest question. I because I was tagged by SIG etcd share because I did the previous two ones, like when etcd became a SIG, and then I also did the spotlight. But
those were Kubernetes.io blogs, right? And this was on
no,
etcd's website.
No, the first one was on etcd blog as well.
Oh.
And that actually was a problem because they published on etcd first, and which meant that it couldn't be published anywhere else because of the policy of not linking to not publishing stuff that's somewhere else. But the Spotlight, it was on both contributor site and Kubernetes.io. This one, I mean, I think it was yesterday or something, or 2 days ago. I've got involved in a discussion about can you help us, but I couldn't really understand what was the context of help, because there were already people there talking about stuff. It wasn't about opening the PRs. It wasn't about reviewing. So I said, sure, just tell me where you need any help. And I think that Josh then said that he would open up a conversation on contributor comms for the socials. And then I said, well, the social part is not, it's something that a lot of people have their hand on, so might as well leave it as is. But yeah, so I'm just unsure if future publications will follow a similar path, or if I've missed something, or maybe I should have helped in some capacity, but I honestly didn't saw exactly how.
I'm not sure which request you received. There was a request in the comms channel from Josh Burkus saying, hey, this is coming out. And
was
That's the
before
one that
that
we all
one,
kind of.
in the
Okay.
in a conversation somewhere in another channel around publishing the blog itself, right? And I essentially said, well, if it's about opening the PRs or reviewing the content, or I'm not sure exactly if you are going to mirror it or not, tell me, and I'll. But it seemed to me that they already had it mostly done, so that was
I was
it.
wondering if maybe it was about a different blog, because I mean, this one's out. It's fine.
Yes,
Mario?
there were it were multiple discussions. One of the discussions basically was that they wanted to have the blog published on etcd.io, also published on Kubernetes.io. But because of missing
Which they don't allow.
reviewers and yada yada, it didn't work out. But they still wanted to publish it on etcd.io shortly after they made the release, obviously, to bring in context and to do some advertisement. And Josh basically said that they need to align what they now will do with the blog post on Kubernetes.io. The other topic was that there was a discussion created where Federico was also dragged in SIG etcd, where they specifically asked for can we get comms for the release? And then basically Josh took this over, opened the issue in with requests for communications, and then we followed up in the comms channel. So this then was all clear.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that is missing is what will happen, or will there be a blog post, or will the etcd.io blog post also be published eventually on Kubernetes.io? And I think this discussion has not yet been finished, but I think this is something where Tim and Josh are talking about this because of what Federico mentioned of the policy, don't publish stuff. But to be honest, it's our own stuff, and you can basically set a meta tag that says like original content is located there, so that you don't get any SEO down ranking shit.
Yeah. That was it. But just to be clear, the exact way that I was tagged was about the publication of it. It was that last point, right? Because when Zhang asked me, Fred, you helped us publishing SIG etcd blog posts on both Kubernetes.io and etcd 1 or 2 years ago. Could we publish the same blogs on both? Is there a process, etc.? So, and that's what I replied. Well, yes, there's a process. Josh, sorry, is already involved in this discussion, so he knows that there's a process and that we are actually reviewing it. So I'm not sure exactly how to go about it, but if you want me to help with the traditional process, sure, we can open PRs, etc. There was no answer to this, so I assumed that things were already in motion, and that's it.
Understandable. Thank you very much. And that, Mario, did you want to say something more about it?
I would basically go ahead in the thread and ask Josh, should we now do something or not?
About Kubernetes.io?
Yeah. Should we now also create like a thing that it gets published on Kubernetes.io? I mean, the information is out, and if it's now published,
I mean, the ideal thing for us to do,
right? It's not.
Yeah, the ideal thing for us to do would be to find someone to be a reviewer on Kubernetes.io.
Yeah.
This all ties into the overarching problem, which I've already hinted at several times, which is that SIG Docs owns the Kubernetes.io blog, the main blog of the open source Kubernetes project, and they have like 2 reviewers for the blog, and they are completely overwhelmed. They just had to do so many blogs for the release, so they're kind of still, I think, in a hole with a backlog of reviews, and they desperately need more help. They really need folks to train and learn how to become a reviewer for SIG Docs. And one question that came up on Wednesday at the SIG ContribEx meeting, which is the parent group of this one, and we were talking about this. someone was asking, oh, well, is it just like proofreading blogs?
Yeah.
Which
Did we
the answer
ever-
is no.
No.
The
they-
SIG docs folks also decide like when the blogs go out, and they have a very specific kind of quality bar and like specific rules about what can be posted on the Kubernetes.io blog, because it is a very high visibility channel. So we want to keep tight rules on making sure that the quality there is good and that we're using it effectively. So there's more to learn than just proofreading in order to become a SIG docs blog reviewer.
But this is an
They have-
interesting thing, though, because it was published on SIG etcd, and the request is to publish it on Kubernetes.io. So strictly speaking, no one in contributor comps have actually, in terms of the blogging part, because we mostly deal with the contributor side, and the mirroring to Kubernetes.io, it's something that makes sense sometimes. So yeah, it's I think that's it should be whatever is the process that we're thinking of going forward in terms. And you remember that I actually asked last time, maybe we should have a discussion on any changes because of that discussion that existed with Josh, Tim, myself, and others. We should clarify things in order to avoid any blind spots like this one.
Is this a blind spot? Blind spot in what sense?
I mean,
who is
yeah,
responsibility? Sorry.
Yeah, it's that because if you have a blog that's published on A and they want to mirror it on B, but we have main responsibility on C,
yeah,
which is contributor side.
It's true.
Yeah, I mean,
but we're just so trusted as members of the community who understand these kinds of things.
It's just that you get things in already in motion, which also it's perfectly fine. But then it's sometimes tricky to know exactly what is. Well, should I help in what capacity, etc. It's just that, and also another one. It's to confirm or review that policy that Marco also mentioned about the not mirroring things outside, and now that etcd is a SIG, to what extent is etcd.io outside or inside? So yeah, that's another one.
Indeed. These are all valid questions that would probably be better answered if we had a stronger connection to the SIG docs blogs reviewers and they had more people.
Yeah, other than that, sounds great.
I mean, I have a strong opinion there.
Yes, please.
And my opinion is all the blogs go into one team and are reviewed by one team, because anything else adds more complexity. It adds also the problem that we need more people in different areas. And maybe it is the time, and it's also what I said the last time when this discussion came up, maybe it's time to just merge teams so that we have more people who are able to review stuff and work on stuff, and that we are not blocked by two people. And there's this analysis basically for projects that says like, where's your project critical? And if we only have two reviewers for Kubernetes IO block, that's in my opinion a critical thing, because if one of them is sick and if the other one leaves the project, then we have.
Yeah.
Yep, agreed. Just need to recruit people to actually do it.
Do we have a link to the like reviewer requirements anywhere? Like I'm digging in the repo and I can't find any.
I know there's a SIG docs blog reviewer guide somewhere. Yeah.
Let's see.
Sorry.
Blog guidelines.
There's a blog sub-project and then role handbooks.
There is a call for help in the last NCO deck. regarding blog reviews, and there are links to a reviewer guide, style guide, and so on. Everything is basically in the last NCO presentation.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Which I think we actually have on GitHub also. Maybe not the last one, but that information I think is definitely in one that's on
Yes,
GitHub.
it's there. It's in GitHub. You uploaded the April version, so everything should be in GitHub.
I didn't, but thank you to whoever did that.
Where is it in GitHub? It's under ContribEx?
It's
I'm
in
assuming.
so K community mentoring.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
K standing for Kubernetes.
Mhm.
Kubernetes has a bunch of different repos. KK refers to Kubernetes, which is like the bulk of the code that makes up the actual project. K community is a lot of the community stuff that we deal with. But if you were looking for it on GitHub, it's actually spelled out.
Yes.
So I put in the blog guidelines link. If you grab those others, could you toss them in the chat and or notes?
Which others?
Other links from the slides.
Oh, yeah. Hang on. I just pulled them down, and now I'm getting asked a question.
As one
Chrome
does.
just blocked a dangerous file from downloading. A PDF.
Very dangerous.
Jesus Christ. Turn that off.
Trying to. So we'll grab those links. I think let's put the call for blog reviewers in the things for LWKD.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about how to highlight it in new contributor orientation. A couple notes on new contributor orientation, actually. It's set to be this coming Tuesday, but Mario's going to be out. So we're going to move at least the EMEA APAC friendly time of it at least a week out. The other one, I have someone who can run it next week. We could also move it a week out, I think. But I won't be able to do either one because I will be out and about doing work things. So,
Oh my gosh. So the PDF that's uploaded to GitHub, all the links to the various, calls for help for blog reviewers are just underlined. They're not actually clickable.
I thought if you downloaded it, they would be clickable.
You would think maybe it's just a Chrome thing. I don't know. Let me try a
I
different
know we
PDF
tested
viewer.
it with the first one. Well,
I'll figure it out.
can grab Mario could also grab the link to the original. Well, I guess you're in the car.
Yeah,
so you
no,
can't.
it's definitely not a link.
Well, lovely.
Yeah, that's fun.
Let me grab the link to the deck.
Yeah, where's the link in Drive?
We also need to create the good first issue for new contributor orientation. I don't think anyone has done that yet.
Oh, no.
We were discussing last week how in order to drive up attendance for new contributor orientation, we need to, of course, get in front of folks who want to be oriented. And so we were talking about creating a good first issue that is basically just attend new contributor orientation this month. Here's when it is. Here's the links to join. Here's the link to the calendar invite. So we haven't created that good first issue yet, and the first one for this month is currently scheduled for next week. So really need to get that done. New contributor orientation. April. Oh, there it is. It's right there. Here, I just made it viewable, and I'm just going to toss it in the chat.
Yeah.
There we go. And let me grab the links that we were discussing. PR Wrangler Shadow Program. That's different from the blog thing, though, isn't it?
The blog thing, I think, is in the slides when it comes to you need specified knowledge, blah, blah. So it's not in the first docs thing, it's in the second docs thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of links. Let me grab those and toss them into the notes. There we go.
Wow. It's a lot of docs to go through.
Yep, that's why it's in the skills required section rather than the evergreen section.
Yeah, this is. I wonder if.
It's a lot to learn. They have a high bar.
Yes, but also. Yeah, never mind.
They only have 2 people who can do it.
They have their high bar, and it's hindering adding people apparently too. But
Indeed.
that wasn't me talking out loud. That was my brain.
Yeah. So it goes.
Yeah.
Open source work sometimes. It's tough to balance the need for certain skills and the need to recruit new people.
Mm-hmm.
Coming back to things for LWKD, I think shadow applications are still open for the next release.
Yes,
That
and I put
is
out.
true.
Kat pinged me yesterday morning to put out social about it, so I did it. Just
Yes, thank you for doing that. I was
Yeah,
like,
no
somebody
problem.
did this manually.
Sorry.
I saw the email go out about it like when it first went out, and I was like, I need to put social media out about this. And I like opened Buffer and started to do it and then got distracted.
Yeah, I wish I could flag those or automate the posting of those somehow, but I don't think that's easily done.
Yeah, I don't think so. I
'Cause it's a
don't think there's an
different-
RSS feed for the shadow application.
No, there's no automation that I can think of that would be like, hey, here's the form, here's the thing, but maybe, who knows?
Just gotta
I
do
could
it
look.
manually.
Yeah.
Definitely a good thing for LWKD. Thank you for calling that out. Well, actually, let me look up
It's
when
going to
that
be
is.
closed on Sunday, so
Yeah.
yeah.
So
There's
not a
that.
good thing for LWKD, actually.
Mhm.
Does that work? No, it doesn't. I have to say Kubernetes, come on. Obviously, I'm talking about.
Right? Like it doesn't know.
Here's
That's
Kat's
what I
post
always
on
think. How do you
eBay.
not know I'm searching for Kubernetes things?
Handbook, selection criteria. This is really good. We should have reposted this. I could do that right now.
Yeah.
What do we think about just reposting this from the Kubernetes LinkedIn account?
I'm good with that.
Cool. I'm just going to do it. Repost with your thoughts. Switch it to Kubernetes. And say something about it closing soon.
Yeah.
Shadow application for the 1.34. The other question I had for you, Federico, about the release is the timeline out?
Yep.
That's what I thought. Thought it'd be an easy question.
No, I mean, the timeline, to my knowledge, is still being discussed. There's an initial PR opened. It's
Okay.
not merged yet. Let me see if I
Gotcha.
can tell you. Yeah. So currently the existing draft starts on the 19th of May, so next Monday, I think. And is released on the 27th of August.
Okay. Release is scheduled for 27th of August. Something good for us to keep in mind. For one, because the blog team will be super busy then.
Yeah.
Also a good idea to keep an eye on the release cycle to maybe try to keep an eye on if the comms team needs any assistance. We always want to support the comms team more, but we usually don't. They just kind of operate separately.
Yeah.
Something we have never resolved.
Have we done any? I mean, I know it sounds crazy. Have we done any social media about adding blog reviewers?
I don't believe so. We could.
I mean, I think that'd be potentially a good thing for like LinkedIn or obviously the case
The
contributor stuff. So yeah.
Kate's contributors account just do really well with that kind of thing. So I
Mhm.
think we should. This is what I'm going to send.
I
That
think
sound good, folks?
we shouldn't do LinkedIn because the problem with LinkedIn is that, well, how to put this in a nice way?
You
The
can just put it in your way.
requirements are pretty high. So
Yeah.
basically, we need to appeal to the current 2 reviewers, and I believe they would argue that LinkedIn might not be the current the best audience because LinkedIn also targets end users, which means that people would come into the project who don't have the knowledge background that might be required.
Yeah. So we need a way to target existing reviewers.
I think the contributors' accounts are probably fine to post about it on, right?
I don't disagree.
We should probably get it reviewed by someone in SIG Docs before we actually send it, huh? We can just
Oh,
toss it over to them on Slack.
Yeah. Or at least broach the idea and see what they say.
Yeah, I could draft it now, but there's too many questions. I want to get their eyes on it before sending it to because they are opinionated about
Yes.
the role. So I want to make sure I communicated about it properly. So good idea. I'll add it to the new items list, but we'll see if we get to it.
Okay.
Things that don't happen in this meeting often don't get done. All right. So for messages of the week, we have new contributor orientation. I don't know if I got through explaining that. EMEA APAC one is moving by a week. The other one, I don't know. Maybe we'll have it next week. Need to create the good first issue. Create good first issue for NCO. etcd blog for LWKD. The call for blog reviewers for LWKD, and this one will take off actually because it's closing on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
But we did repost on LinkedIn at least, which is our fastest growing social media account. Not the largest, but fastest growing.
Mm-hmm.
Any other new items? Oh, I added one thing in here before we started that we haven't actually directly talked about, which is thank you, Chris, for creating automation to post about blogs from etcd. We have automation that picks up RSS feeds from our other blogs and automatically creates posts for our social media accounts so that we get them out in a timely fashion whenever a blog comes out. And now we have it for the etcd blog. Thanks to Chris.
Woohoo.
Any other
Sorry,
new
it
items?
caused problems.
It didn't really. I mean, it worked perfectly.
Right, it worked, but yeah, not. Maybe I should have waited until today to do it. I just didn't know. I didn't fully
I think
realize the
it's good.
blog was coming out. So yeah.
It's good to have more social media posts, I think.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Any other new items or updates and big wins? I guess you added the
Yes.
etcd thing as an update big win. I'm just going to leave it as both.
Sweet.
if there's nothing else,
The
we
board?
could actually do the board as Federico's
20
leaving.
minutes. 20 minutes left.
Yeah, well, we're well within schedule, so yeah.
There are 2 PRs open. We should look at the blog more, the board more frequently. Working group policy spotlight blog. Is that one actively going despite the blog issues?
I do not know.
Oh, PR
Josh
opened.
Burkus requested changes. Tim Bannister, one of our 2 reviewers, reviewed it 7 hours ago.
Did
to give it a new date. Oh
Yeah.
no.
Oh,
We need to
boy.
make sure Rougeval actually addresses that because if we don't, we'll miss our window.
Yeah.
Somebody pinging Rougeval. Program management is actually very helpful, you know? All right, so I pinged him on GitHub. If somebody wants to ping him on Slack to just to be like, hey, you should take a look at this PR because it's doing things. That'd be good.
Agreed.
And those are both about that. So that's it for the review column. That we've got something in preliminary review here that looks like it was merged. Guide to blog contributions. With a new person on it who I've never seen before.
I think that's the discussion that I've alluded to before around how to publish blogs and review them, etc. And it also involves aspects of our work. And I remember that I commented there. I wasn't sure it was merged, but apparently it is. So I should actually go there and read it carefully.
Cool. So I'm going to move that to done. And then another one that's marked as merged or closed here is sensitive communications process.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much dead.
No,
I mean,
it's done.
It got
yeah,
merged.
It's merged.
There we go. Okay.
I opened the PR. It got, I think it got accidentally merged because I asked for reviews.
Oh.
But
Someone LGTM'd it and you
Yep.
had already approved it because you have approver privileges.
Down it went.
Not like anyone cares.
Yeah, no kidding. So that's done. Finally.
Good enough.
Uh-huh.
Done is better than not done. Done forces action. All right, so move that to done. Something for us to use if we need it. And then we have several things in review that have been closed due to inactivity. Looks like, or yeah, closed as not planned. Back in March, we were talking about the SIG infra posts, which looks like Federico was trying to get moving again. But I assume all of these blogs are on hold because of the blog reviewer issue.
also, SIG infra is on hold because SIG infra is also overwhelmed with work. So they can't do the interview.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
Welcome to open source, where
Woohoo!
everyone is overwhelmed and can't do the things that you would think they would obviously be doing in order to make themselves not overwhelmed because they're too overwhelmed.
I'm not going to ask you to repeat that.
The overwhelmed blues.
Indeed.
Yes.
Such is the game of open source. Slackbot documentation, though, also
Oh.
got closed, and that is in our court. How, what, why, who? As Mario said when he opened this in November of 2024. We talked about it in March, and I said, Chris, where's the existing stuff that Rajula made a long time ago? And then we found it, and I put that
Mhm.
in here, and then it got closed due to inactivity.
Yeah. Like, we should really try to just make that a doc thingy or markdown file on GitHub for us.
Yeah.
All right.
Add it to the list, putting in the notes.
Yeah. Mario, did you see that the sensitive communication part, like the formatting's busted for some reason?
I
Damn.
saw it and ignored it.
Fair enough.
Done is better than not done.
Yep. All right. Cool.
Actually, like, do this and stuff? Question mark. Why did that?
Why?
Why does it do that?
Why? Oh, GitHub.
Why?
Your paste? No, that's not. Oh, that's lame.
I shift. Fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I will just do this. Okay. Yeah, the Slack announcement bot instructions really need to be put somewhere.
Yeah. Let me go find that
In
link
our
again.
GitHub repo, probably.
Yes.
Starting points. There's also some additional documentation here that Ben helpfully linked for us. Thank you, Ben, in November of 2024. So we have all of the materials here. We just need to put it together into a PR.
Yeah.
Is that a good first issue?
I mean, since it's already all spelled out and in Markdown, maybe.
I think it might be, actually. You need to read through all of those things so that you get an idea for what's going on. Ask any questions that you have about that stuff, because that is the whole goal, is to explain it. So I think that's a good first issue. If anybody particularly wants to pick that up for us, it would be helpful. I can throw that link into the notes. Oh, I already did.
Can you tag it as good first issue, or is it already tagged?
I think it's currently closed due to inactivity.
Yes.
Why is this line doing this?
You've got some weird formatting going on in the line.
Yeah, what? Why?
That's really weird.
I'm just going to do it with no spaces. I think it's because I pasted this in. Uh-huh. It's because I pasted in from the slides. The links to all of the blog stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But now I have somehow... Okay, it's supposed to be like this, I think. Renaming good first issue in our notes. And then we have 9 minutes left, by the way.
Well, we can do our best.
I wanted to see quickly. Thank you for removing the life cycle rotten. You want to add good first issue?
I forget the label for that, but yeah, I can.
I assume it's /good-first-issue.
Wish there was like
Probably
an
work.
autocomplete.
That would be nice.
Mm-hmm.
Custom tooling.
Well, that didn't do anything, so that's fun.
I'm going to leave it in preliminary review because I actually look at that column.
Yeah.
There's another one here, add all use cases for Zapier automation. Arpit and Sayak were interested in helping.
I started doing that and got derailed by many things at work.
You assigned Arpit last month.
That was 2 months ago now.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's another one to get moving again. How do we make it not planned?
I don't know. I'm really not clear on that. Closed as not planned. Did somebody actually click a button to do that? I wonder.
Reopen issue. There's a reopen issue when you make a comment.
Yeah, and then reopen issue and then remove lifecycle stale like this. Just send me the links in GitHub, and I will
do your magic.
I will fix them tomorrow when I'm back.
Putting them in a things to revive section in the notes.
Sending you the issue link.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bug triage, a thing that we can do. The Steering Spotlight blog last week, I believe, Arpit said that he's actually making progress on that.
Yeah.
I think he said it was ready for review. This is just the issue. I don't see the PR. I'm going to add him. I don't see a PR linked in here. All right. So that's it for the preliminary review column. And then in progress, we have a bunch of Spotlight blogs, which I believe are actually on hold. Do you want to put them into a blocked and waiting column?
I mean, yeah, perhaps, but there are 2 updates there at least.
All right. What you got?
Because, yeah, so one, it's the SIG because we were contacted by one of the shares of SIG, and because someone some time ago went to one of their meetings and asked about the Spotlight, which is actually a great thing to do, except that I can't remember who did it. They can't remember either.
Who is here?
Avni's here, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, nobody answered on the channel, so I assumed that it was someone who had dropped in between. So that's apparently not the case.
So you were saying you all asked for someone from SIG Auth to do the thing and got no response?
No, so what
you got a response once and then got no response?
And I said, well, let me check. I checked. Nobody raised their hands, and but there was someone who actually said in the channel that they could do it, which is Avni. I think she's here today. Yeah. So she showed interest in doing a first Spotlight. It's we have a couple of them, so SIG Auth is as good as any other. So the idea would be, assuming that this blocking thing will not last forever, a spotlight takes months, well, 1 month at least, typically more. So it wouldn't, perhaps it wouldn't hurt to start doing that one, because the share is actively interested and poking us to go forward. So, which is not that common.
Good. Sounds like we can attempt to move that forward. This is how SIG spotlights go. They're very kind of stop and go because they require input from other humans.
Daggum humans.
I already shared with Daphne some of our internal documentation around how it's done. We can obviously continue that conversation next week, we'll do it together as we go. I think it will be an interesting experience.
And as you go along, Avni, ask us for help, ask us questions anytime. If we don't respond, it's not because we didn't want to help you, it's because we didn't see it or saw it and then got distracted. So don't hesitate to ask again.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. We're so glad to have you, even if it feels like a mess sometimes. That's just how it is.
And I'm happy to be here.
Yay. All right, so we'll see if we can move that one along. And then SIG auto-scaling, I'm guessing, is your other one that had some movement?
I actually made an inquiry some time ago about their interest. They actually didn't say anything. But anyway, I assigned myself that one because I have some interest in doing the auto-scaling one. So yeah, we're waiting for feedback, but I'm actively asking them and insisting, so we should get a yes or no in about next week or so, something.
Sounds good. And
no more updates for me. There's again, the architecture one is almost done, but I need to verify the final draft with Livet. So still a couple of weeks away from being PR ready.
alrighty. Where's the architecture one on the board? Is it in?
It's a bit lower.
Here it is.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm going to move it up to the top.
Yeah.
Cool. And then the next one on the list is, and we only have a minute left, cluster life cycle, which I assume is stagnant. Looks like a new person was interested in picking that up in January. They tried in February, didn't get any response.
I might have just found the announce bot documentation in our repo already.
That sounds like a thing that would happen.
Mm-hmm.
Send it over.
Yeah.
We are at time. We talked about adding LinkedIn. Well, we talked about the issue of adding new social media to the websites last time. We continue to be blocked by technical issues with the design of the websites. Sorry, morning. The websites are operating on old versions of software that we can't update because of customization to them. And that's preventing us from updating the social media stuff on them. It's a whole thing. We had some folks helping to work on that. We discussed some other solutions last time. It'll take a while. Spotlight on the Security Response Committee. Removed Lifecycle Rotten by Paco on February 23rd. Waiting on confirmation if interested.
Sorry, I was on another call briefly. Yeah, I mean,
That's okay.
That's a pickle because I've tried several different mechanisms of getting someone, and still haven't got an answer. So yeah, I'll keep on it. I'll remove the staleness if it's needed, and I'll keep on it.
Sounds good. There's also create better processes for other comms leads. We should prioritize that in our next meeting because it's that stage of the release cycle. I think we should actually work with the release comms people.
Yeah.
Thing.
Oh, agreed. Yeah.
We should prioritize that next meeting.
I'm
Various
sorry,
access
I
audits.
need to drop. So have a great weekend.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, you too.
Good to see you. Bye. And then there's a SIG doc spotlight, granted how overwhelmed they are. Planning to get this going after KubeCon. That was Arpit. He might be able to do that. We'll see. Working on scheduling a meeting with Mario in September. Kate's in for a budget special blog.
Oh,
Maybe
geez.
someday.
Yeah.
Cube CTL spotlight. Oh yeah, Arpit should do that someday. He wanted to do a talk on that, and I was like, you should do a spotlight on it and blogs and shenanigans. Comms team social media lead shadow structure. This I'm not going to be able to get to until after KubeCon Japan in June. So I'm going to put that into blocked and waiting.
Yeah.
I did want to give that update in this meeting and I did it after time. So we'll stop there and leave the to-do things in the to-do column. Thank you very much everyone for joining today. Sorry that we went over. And we'll say goodbye to our friends on YouTube. Goodbye, YouTube.
Hasta luego.